All right,
Out
guys.
here for me, please.
So let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. We do have a decent amount of people in this transformation challenge. Just we had a lot of conflicting schedules, but I really appreciate you guys coming to this. We've been doing kickoff challenges. We've been doing these challenges for about 7 years now. We get a lot of awesome results inside our transformation challenges. This last year, this is our first kickoff challenge in about a year because of COVID purposes. But we do find most people that do the actual kickoff challenge get about 70% better results than somebody that doesn't show up to this meeting. So already that's a huge win. It just shows the desire to improve and change. Instantly, you're already committed to that one step. Plus, we're going to give you some like super cheat codes that I can help you with, and you guys can ask personal questions that you actually struggle with or have about this challenge, and I can answer those for you. I'm co-owner here. Nathan's you guys most have met with Nathan. He's the other owner here. We have a bunch of coaches running through here. Nick's one of the coaches over there. Dorothy right there is another one of our coaches. So you see some random coaches throughout, all super qualified coaches. They're great at what they do. I'm the head of nutrition here as well. I'm a certified nutritionist. Nathan does nutrition here as well, but I do most of the nutrition. You can ask any of the coaches about nutrition, and if they don't have an answer, they'll obviously get the answer for you. But you can always ask me as well, and I'll usually have an answer for most things that I don't have one. I promise I'll find an answer for you as we go along. Okay, so our transformation challenge, let's go ahead and kick that off. What made this thing work right? There you go. So this one's going to be 4 weeks long, so it's a 28-day transformation challenge. So the word transformation challenge has really been skewed in the last probably 10 years, right? Very unrealistic results have been attached to this idea. Meaning a lot of companies out there like 21 days, lose 20 pounds. Like realistically, that's not body fat being lost. So we just want to be honest about the very beginning part of this. We're going to help you get changes. We're probably going to lose a portion of body fat. We definitely will. Yes. We'll lose weight. We'll lose body fat, things of that nature. I just want to be realistic that in 28 days, and don't imagine anybody's going to lose 20 pounds. So some of those goals out there that people set up are a little like too intense. We're looking for, we'll set up realistic goals here in a second, but we're probably going to see people hit a little bit smaller. We look for about 1 pound a week. Up to 2 pounds a week when a challenge really starts. We might see people 3 or 4 pounds a week in that week 1. Losing water weight, some excess fecal matter, things of that nature will go pretty quickly. But we are really focused on helping you guys lose body fat. That's the most important thing. It's not just weight here, it's about body fat. That's why we had you guys should have all stepped on an in-body scale. If you haven't yet, we will get you an in-body scan. That we're really focused on the body fat change because that usually means that clothes are fitting better and we're getting healthier and it's maintainable off. Just straight weight loss is a lot of times, if you guys have ever done any diets in the past, straight weight loss, about 3 weeks later when you stop doing that diet, that weight's back, right? So we're trying to really concentrate on just body fat change. So we'll be use the in-body at the beginning of the challenge. If you haven't done it, we'll get that set up. Otherwise, we do it at the end of the challenge as well. We'll send you out an email in that last week about when to get your in-body scans in. And then the My Coach app, Nathan, you sent most of those off yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So the My Coach app, you should have got an email about it. If you haven't, double check your spam. So it should be an email from Coach Catalyst. It also says My Coach on it. It might still say Game Change Performance as well, but it's just our nutrition app. It's a little black app that says My Coach. That's where we're going to deliver all your nutritional content. If you haven't gotten it yet, Nate probably has you down on the list for that. Otherwise, you can always text him or email him, and he'll make sure he gets you set up on that too. Okay? So we'll talk about that app here in a second, but that's where we're going to deliver all of our content. As I go through this today, guys, please, this is meant to be very interactive. So if you have questions on the spot, don't save it for the end, just ask it as we go. I do get sidetracked a lot. I love talking about nutrition. I'm going to try to keep it short and concise, and I made my slides as concise as I can, but I'll try not to get down any rabbit holes too much, but I definitely have a wealth of nutritional knowledge that I'd love to share if you guys have the questions about it. We also aren't doing any specific diet here, meaning like this isn't keto, this isn't paleo, this is like we're fitting a habit-based approach. I have opinions on all those kind of things, but I really don't care what diet anybody ever chooses, as long as you're consistent to it. So our goal is to create consistency in you guys over the next few weeks on some of our basic ideas that we believe in nutrition. So the goal of this, not to lose weight, but to make a lifestyle change so you can develop a process of fat loss over time, right? So we believe that 40 pounds is achievable to lose in 1 year. That's about the maximum we believe somebody can lose in 1 year, 40 pounds. That's really our business philosophy on results based around 40 pounds in a year. The reason is because body fat comes off at a certain rate, and it has to have a calorie deficit to that. Meaning it is calories in versus calories out. There's an idea of good quality carbs or good quality calories versus bad quality calories, blah, blah. No matter what, it's calories in versus calories out. But to lose weight over a long period of time, it takes a good deficit consistently for a long period of time. So we can't have these giant deficits that will help you lose weight really quickly, but then you'll rebound from it. So we have a nice steady deficit over a long period of time. So that's why we try to give you habits, things that you can underline inside of your nutrition that will make you be able to stay in this weight loss over a year time, and every month that total adds up, right? Anybody that usually gets more than 40 pounds of weight loss in a year, most likely will put that weight back on, or at least a portion of that weight back on. So again, we're trying to build that baseline habits. How do we achieve this over a long period of time? If you have less than 40 pounds to lose, awesome, but we still want to make sure that we give ourselves a respectful amount of time on how to lose this weight. And a big thing with weight loss is it's not linear, right? So you will, if any of you guys have ever tried to diet in the past, it's like, right? And all of a sudden you get down here, and then one day it's like you step on the scale and it's way up here, holy crap. Weight loss is not linear. That's why weight's kind of like a weird one, because it can be hormonal based, right? If you're a female, it has to do with your period. There's a lot of menstrual cycle, all that kind of stuff. Like that really plays with it a lot. But realistically, it's not like a linear path. It's kind of an up and down path over time. So in this challenge, we just want to kind of go through how the classes in the gym kind of work. During the challenge, the classes always get a little bit more full. Our class cap is about 15 is working on thing, but usually you might have a coach or two working out in there, so there might be 16 people in there. But like in terms of that, there's 15 people to a class, so make sure you are scheduling for your classes. You should have the Wodify app. If you don't, Nathan will make sure you get set up on that, because that's pretty much the most important app here, because that's how you schedule for classes. We recommend inside of the app, so Wodify is this guy right here, make sure you schedule in the app at least a week out. If you know your schedule for 2 weeks, try to get 2 weeks out. You can schedule up to 28 days out. If you're pretty consistent with your schedule, do the 28 days out, because you're guaranteed to get a spot. We try to cap the classes, meaning we try to sell certain spots in certain time frames, but people can have a little bit of flexible schedule, so some days like end up super dead, you're like, what the heck happened? And then some days they'll be pretty packed. So just make sure if you know you have a specific schedule, I can only make it these times, make sure you go through after today and try to get yourself scheduled out for the next couple of weeks if you can. There's a thing called a wait list. So if you get on a wait list, after 15 people, you can put on a wait list. So on a wait list, it'd be, okay, I'm the 16th person in class. What happens then? On the 16th person in class, if somebody cancels during the overnight or whatever, you'll get an email that says, hey, would you like to join this class? If there's multiple people on that wait list, they will all get that email. So it becomes a first come, first served idea, not who's on the wait list first, because that person might not have already made plans and changes. So just make sure if you get that and you want to get into it, just go to that email real quick and go into the app and sign yourself in. But with waitlisting, we don't have it a lot. I'm not going to say it never happens. Just be patient. If you can find another class, go ahead and just put yourself in another class at 4:45 at night. You get waitlisted that, just put yourself in the 5:30 if you can. And you can always bounce back in that 4:45 point opens up, okay? Just be conscious of that. Most class times you should be totally fine with though. So scheduling 4 classes 100% in your control, so you can schedule out ahead of time. Making sure, I would recommend not trying to schedule the night before. If you schedule the night before, you're playing a game of Russian roulette, right? There's probably a good chance that that's not going to happen and you get an exact class you want. So that's why we give that 28-day lead time ahead of time to be able to put yourself in, because then the people that only schedule the night before, they kind of get hosed. But don't be that person that's like the day before, right? Try to get yourself at least, a lot of people do like every Sunday, they'll schedule themselves out for the week after. Try not to be on that Sunday for your whole week, because you might miss out on Monday if you're doing a Monday workout. 28 days ahead of time, 2 to 3 days ahead of time is usually okay, but you just have to kind of watch the week as it goes. My coach app. So unfortunately, we are a small business, so we have to use a lot of apps to deliver our content, if that makes sense. We just don't have one big app we can deliver everything through. So we do apologize for being there. There are a few different apps you have to use, but it's just because we want to deliver the best service, and we just don't have one app that can do all the best service. So Wodify itself is meant for scheduling classes, putting our weights in, like this part here we just talked about for class. Your deadlift weights, your weights for class will actually be inside of there. That would be scheduling your apps. You can see what workouts are coming up too. The thing shows what workouts that we're going to do for the day. And then you can also put your weights in if the coach didn't get your weights put in. My Coach is where all the nutrition stuff's done. Okay? So you have that one's a little black app that says My Coach. So that one we'll go through here in a second. I think those are the main 2 apps you guys have now. If you're a member of ours, they have usually a heart rate app, and then they also have an app for the in-body machine. So those are the main 2 you guys have for apps. My Coach app. So on My Coach, the way it works is we give you content. So it's called the daily lesson. You get a daily lesson every day that's supposed to teach you just a little bit more about nutrition, right? So we have these underlying philosophies, which we'll talk about in the next couple slides. Underlying philosophies, and we want to teach that to you over time. A lot of times when people start a new diet, like it's kind of information overload right at the beginning, right? There's just so much stuff to learn. We want to gradually drip that to you over time. The big things, we'll give you some of the basics that we start with, but you will get better at your nutrition over the next 4 weeks. That's the goal. You don't have to be perfect from day one. You will get better day after day after day. So we deliver a new lesson every day that we recommend you reading because you'll learn some things that can make nutrition a little bit easier part of your life. The second thing on there is technically just yes or no answer. It's going to say done or not done. So the question for most of them is, did I follow the nutrition principles today? Done. I did follow the nutrition principles today. So I ate my vegetables, I drank my water. Not done would be like, I went out to eat, right? So I'd be like, no, I didn't follow the nutrition principles today, right? So it's okay to say done or not done. I'm not looking for everybody to be perfect 28 straight days, realistically. We're looking for it to be perfect 90% of the time. That's really, really good, 90% of the time is. But I would rather see you saying not done than just not answering the question. Because not answering the question means I didn't put any effort towards even opening my app realistically. So we need to say not done or not done. We do have coaches. Nick will be the one that's following up with you mostly on the My Coach app. I'll be answering all the nutrition questions, but he'll be double checking to make sure you guys are actually following through with the components of checking in on there. So you will have an accountability coach that's watching that kind of stuff to make sure you are. So if you're getting a lot of question marks, so a question mark tells me that you didn't fill it out at all. If you get a lot of question marks, we're going to be, hey, are you even doing this or not doing this? If it's like looks like this is really good. You got a lot of greens, it means you're trying, but you have a few reds, that's realistic. If it's all reds, we're definitely going to reach out and ask if you need any help, but we know that you're at least looking at this stuff and trying. That's a really good thing. We're definitely going to reach out and see if you need any help. However, like I'd rather see all reds than see all question marks. So the question marks mean I pretty much just gave up right away. And we don't want that. Our goal is not to have you guys give up. That's why we're slowly dripping you the right information to help you achieve long-term results. So inside of My Coach, you'll have this thing, you'll click a daily lesson, and then you'll click yes or no, I did my habit for the day. And then there's also a spot in here where we have messages, so this is what your bottom looks like. Where you have messages, that's where the coaches will be contacting you through. It's better to contact us through that during the challenge than like texting Nate. Because that text message number that you guys have for us right now goes straight to Nate's phone. He's got a baby and he's got a lot of things else going on, so you probably won't get back to it quickly. You'll get a little bit more response on this thing because all of us coaches have it, and one of them will get a response during that time a little bit quicker than sending it to one person. So that gives all the coaches, so somebody that's at the time can actually look at it, okay? So that's the best place for you to message during the challenge. Please don't message in here though if you're like, hey, I need to switch class times. Like, you probably won't get that answer. Either way, even the best way to do that is maybe calling the thing. You have to switch class times, it just needs to be far enough ahead of time, like 24 hours. If you're like 15 minutes before class, you just probably aren't going to get in that class. Because realistically, the coach is already getting ready for that class, and you're not paying attention to anything else but that next class. So just make sure if you have to switch class times, you're trying to be 24 hours ahead of time, you can do all of that via the app, okay? So you don't actually have to message us, but if you're having struggles with that, just make sure you reach out over time so we can help you figure that part out.
What's the other name of the app? It's My Coach and...
Oh, My Coach and Wodify.
Waterfy?
Wodify, so W-O-D-I-F-Y. Wodify.
Yeah.
Should be like a purple W, I think is what the logo is on that one.
Black W?
Black W, maybe.
Who's this? Is that Leslie?
Yeah.
Leslie, I'll talk to you afterwards.
Maybe.
Make sure you get set
Oh,
up.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So it should be some color of W is what it would be.
It's
Which one do you?
white border with the black grayish.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
Wodify Athlete, yes.
Wodify, yeah. Because me and Nate have 3 different Wodify apps on our phone, so I'm not sure which one's which anymore. Okay, so literally this is the question you will ask yourself every day at every single meal that will give you the answer to everything we're going to talk about. This will be like your sweet spot. This is our mantra. Eat real foods, mostly plants, not too much. You can literally take that to every single meal and that'll answer the question, am I doing a good job with this meal or not, right? So the first part of that, eat real foods. So that can instantly tell you, am I eating a pre-made breakfast sausage? Am I eating, bread is here or there, but like, am I eating a loaf of bread? Am I eating a bag of chips? Real food, right? Those aren't real foods. Am I eating a banana? Am I eating some vegetables? Am I eating steak, right? So that's the first thing, am I eating real foods? Pretty simple, that one's gonna be almost instant. If you have to question if it's a real food or not, it's not a real food. That's pretty simple, right? If you have to question it, that instantly tells me I'm probably not eating real food. That doesn't mean during this thing you're not gonna have times when you don't eat a real food. Like that's totally cool. But it just gives you a quick little gauge in my head, how am I doing? Mostly plants. So mostly plants are vegetables and fruits, right? You want a majority of your plate, so if we have a plate here, we want a majority, almost half of our plate, to be some variation of a plant. Any variation of vegetables, we'll talk about those things a little bit more in depth on the road, but vegetables or fruits, and we are super pro fruit here. I actually lean more towards fruits than vegetables. So like we are super pro fruit here, so please don't ignore fruit. Fruit's awesome, it has tons of micronutrients in it. Tons of vegetables are great as well, and we'll talk about the little things about vegetables that you have to be a little conscious of. But that's another gauge. It's like half of my plate vegetables are fruits. That will be a big gauge for you. And then not too much. So not too much, really the easy way to kind of define that is how big is my plate, right? So if we think about a normal plate that you guys probably have in your house, we have a normal plate size like that, right? So if you actually look at the plates, most plates have kind of an inner ring to them as well, depending on the plate you have. But you know that kind of lip position on those plates, right? You should never touch the lip, right? The lip is not available for you to touch. So that's where your plate should be filled with, right? Another example would be just using the smaller plates you possibly have in your house, like that, okay? That's realistically we want a little bit smaller size plates. Dinner plates over the years have just gotten larger and larger, but if you go back to like your grandma's china, they don't have plates like this. The biggest plate on your grandma's china is like this big. That's because we've changed our portion size over the years. So this is really what we should be eating on. So that kind of tells you right away when I'm looking at a bowl, how deep is my bowl? Is my bowl that, or do I have a bowl like that? Cups, we're looking at like a coffee cup, right? This is my fiance's coffee cup, ginormous. When really, the coffee cup should be like that, right? So like you just start to look at, you start looking in your house, everybody has like just larger portions over time, right? I don't even want to draw a picture of a wine glass, right? So the wine glasses that we have nowadays are not the size of the wine glass. 3 ounces of wine is actually a serving. 3 ounces of wine is about that much wine. It's not very much. So if we did a wine, this is actually 3 ounces of wine, right? Whereas most people's wine glasses are filled with there. So like that portion size is a huge difference on how we think about things. So this kind of gives you a little bit of gauge on that one, not too much. That doesn't mean that we can eat multiple meals through a day. We don't have specific rules like you can only eat twice a day. We're intermittent fasting all morning long, only eat twice a day. And don't have rules I have to eat 5 times a day. It really is schedule dependent. And then individual dependent on that. Meaning like when I'm a person that likes to eat 5 meals a day because I just like to eat food. If I eat too much food at one time, I'm very lethargic. I know other people that like, they just hate to eat, like eating is an inconvenience for them. They just want to stuff themselves at one period of time and move on with the day. I'm not that way. So everybody has different things, and everybody gets different results on different plans. It really fits how it fits in your plan. So we'll talk, we can ask more questions about those as we go along, but just know that like we're not going to say eat 5 meals a day, or 4 meals a day, 3 meals a day. There isn't a sweet spot. If I was to say, if I was to give like a perfect thing, it'd probably be 3 or 4 meals a day. Realistically, it's probably about that sweet spot. I do think people, I like people that eat breakfast. It really helps out our insulin levels a lot. I like breakfast, a lunch, a dinner kind of idea, with maybe a snack works out pretty good, or lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a dessert. Like I like that philosophy for insulin purposes, but it really depends on your lifestyle. If you got kids and you have meetings in the morning, we can always talk about different philosophies that get you to that end goal, okay? There's not one diet that fits any person no matter what they say out there. There's not a single one because lifestyle makes a world of difference in everything we talk about.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes?
Like, is there any, I know you said not lifestyle, but like, if you got up at 7, is there anything with like eating right when you wake up, or at least have your body moving for 30 minutes to an hour beforehand, or just?
It really depends on schedule. Yeah, so if you're like somebody that's jumping right, you have to run right off to something, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Just get
Like,
signed
if you're getting up at 7, you have to be somewhere by 7:30 or 8. I wouldn't worry too much if you have kids. We can talk about like intermittent fasting or drinking like a protein shake or something like that. There's not really a time frame you need to be awake. I literally wake up the second I wake up in the morning, and I'm probably stuffing food in my face. It depends on like metabolism, things of that nature. And I don't even have a stop time at the end of the night either. Like you have to stop by this time. It depends on how your day went. I do believe there's calorie limitations, meaning like we can't go too low on how many calories we eat. We can't go too high on how many calories either. But there is a low point. There's a point where it's like, should I eat the rest of the day? I haven't eaten. I'm only eating 1 meal a day. Should I eat again? It's like 8 o'clock. Yes, you always eat again because you need to have a minimum because your body has to have energy to work and use. So in the morning, I would say more specifically, like if you could eat, if you have like an hour and a half time frame from the time you wake up, probably should have a breakfast. If you're closer to like a 45-minute time frame, it just depends on how much you really need breakfast or not. Bone broth is another sweet thing you can do. If you have you can buy kettle and fire bone broth or something like that. You can sip on your way when you're traveling. It's got 19 grams of protein in it, and it'll get you on to the next thing. Or a whey protein shake or collagen protein shake work too. General nutrition tips. I will be downloading this document into your guys' My Coach app, so you will have all this stuff. Now, most of that stuff already gets delivered to you, so you'll see it anyway. However, this whole thing we're going through will be there for you guys, so you don't have to worry too much about taking notes on it. General nutrition tips. Eat real foods, unprocessed foods. So the idea of JERF, right? Just eat real foods. That's what we believe in. The more you can stick to that just real food philosophy, the better chance you'll have to be very successful in long-term nutrition. Because a lot of our micronutrients, vitamins E, K, G, K, all the minerals, calcium, potassium, all that kind of stuff, that comes from real foods. The negative, so you guys have probably ever heard of this, a calorie is not equal. Calories aren't equal, right? So a calorie from a Snicker bar isn't equal to a calorie from an apple. Technically, calorie-wise, they're identical. However, our body functions on nutrients. So we get little or no nutrients except for pure glycogen from the Snickers bar. And I get vitamin from an apple. I'm getting vitamin K. I'm getting some potassium. I'm getting some vitamin A, a little bit of vitamin D. Like, so there's just all these like little things I'm getting from there that our body functions off of these minerals. That's literally how we're made up of. So even though they are calorie, for just sake of calorie versus calorie, identical, the body processes and breaks them down for energy the same way, but one, we can utilize everything as part of it, and the other one, I'm just using glycogen. So the issue with that is if our body only needs glycogen, and I'm not using that glycogen, it gets stored as body fat, whereas this guy over here is using all those minerals and putting it throughout his body, so whatever energy it's not using is utilizing the minerals. So they aren't completely equal, but that's just an idea. That's why we stick to eat real foods, because eat real foods are going to give us so many more long-term benefits of health. Carry a water bottle and sip on it throughout the day. So water bottle, this is probably a little large, but like in terms of maybe somewhere between 20 and 32 ounces, probably pretty good. This one I think is 32 ounces. Try and just fill it up and sip it throughout a 4-hour period. We used to be really big on getting a certain number of water a day, and then I've learned that like most people don't drink water slow enough. So you should drink about 10 ounces of water an hour. And so if you drink too much, if you're drinking 32 ounces in an hour, the problem is like you'll have to go back within like 20 minutes, right? And then you're running back all the time. And what you're doing is depleting micronutrients. So we're flushing, like we're eating an apple and I drink a ton of water, and all those micronutrients I was about to replenish in, I'm flushing them out of my system. So it's not the amount of water you drink really, it's about drinking it consistently. Drink this, and like I want to have this done in about 4 hours, kind of what that time frame is. And then I'll refill it up, have another 4 hours of that. I stopped drinking at 6 p.m. because I'm a person who always has to wake up and go to the bathroom all night, so I don't want to wake up multiple times. So I stopped drinking at a certain time, and that's just because of my bathroom habits. But drinking water is important, drinking fluids is important, but let's not get crazy and just like over drink too often, because you'll find out you're way thirstier because you're actually depleting a lot of like nutrients, electrolytes and stuff too, okay? That's actually relatively new for us. It's something I'm taking currently a micronutrient course to learn deeper about micronutrients, and that was one of their big things that they've seen is people are flooding their nutrients too often.
I have a question, sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
So, like, I like seltzer water or bubbly water compared to regular water. Is there
Mineral water is awesome for you. Amazing, yep, so
like, is there a different, not drinking regular water and that water?
nope, I mean, the only thing, the benefit, mineral water just gives you more minerals. That's the awesome part. So that's the benefit of it. If you like seltzer water or mineral waters and stuff, awesome, drink them as much as you want, no problem there. I recommend those if people like them. They are actually better for you, just because you never know where your pure water source is coming from. So we are doing it through a filter here, which is awesome, but I can't always guarantee that filter is filtering every fluoride and all the other stuff that comes in there. So the negative of water, drinking water itself in America, our biggest issue is birth control. So we have somebody through that birth control, they use the bathroom, right? The birth control is passed through the water system. And that doesn't get filtered out very well. So our estrogen levels are crazy high in the water, which then negatively impacts our estrogen in our body. And that's why you start to see over time, people's hormonal levels have been very estrogen dominant over the last 20 years. And it's been getting worse and worse. And our estrogen levels in America, in America, our estrogen levels are way higher than they're supposed to be. So one of the biggest causes is drinking water, because it's not filtered out very well. It's a very hard thing to do, so they recommend obviously always drinking filtered water if you can. Try not to drink tap water if possible. It's still better to drink a filtered water than it is to drink usually just like a bottled water, because bottled water has too many minerals filtered out of it.
That's what I was going to answer.
Yeah.
Is spring water or purified water better? It's a discussion we've been having.
I mean, in general, bottled water is just water. Like it's not bad, it just has nothing else but water. You don't get many minerals from it. So it's still better than drinking tap water. Filtered water, depending on your filter, so it's probably in that same category as filtered water. It's okay. Mineral water would be like the best level of it. But I don't like mineral water, so I don't drink it. So that idea, so there's different levels of that. But spring water versus purified water, relatively about the same. They're both probably coming from the same company. So I mean, they probably have specific rules against like one has to come from a spring and one can be through a filter system. I don't know the exact rules of those. But bottled water is just like it's that middle step, right? We like to be eco-friendly here. I would rather people go towards more filtered water if they can, because that's just less bottles in the ocean and stuff of that nature. But in terms of like quality of water, probably about the same. Tap water is just the least one there, and it's just because of the birth control.
Is there like a brand of mineral water or something that you would recommend over another?
My favorite two for mineral water would be Puree. How do you say it? P-I-E-R-R-E-R. Yeah, I can't ever say that. Yeah, that one and Topo Chico are probably the top ones because they have no additives to them. Then the one in between is San Pellegrino, I think is another one.
Yeah.
That one's just like in that middle tier. They have a few. I want to say they either have fluoride or they have something in there. In my mineral course, I just talked about mineral water, and those are the top two brands they recommended, and then San Pellegrino was like that middle tier of that. So,
thank you.
when I drink it, I personally have to. So this is why I probably don't recommend it for myself. Is because I have to spray just a little bit of sweetener in it because I just don't like mineral. But it makes it great. It feels like almost soda at that point. So then I find I probably eat drinking too much artificial sweeteners. But it is very good if you like that stuff. Have protein at every meal, at least 10 grams. So this is one that you have to really understand what protein is to understand this one. So protein is not just meat, but every single meal you have has to have a little bit of protein. What it does is it helps, when we're trying to control for fat loss purposes, we're really trying to control insulin. Insulin is so important. So we're trying to control insulin. Protein helps us control insulin. So in terms of that, 10 grams of protein could be like eggs in the morning, it could be like Greek yogurt, lunch, I'm just throwing out examples of different meals, so you can have them any time of day. You can have meat, any protein, fishes fit in that category as well. Whey protein, collagen protein will work in those too. Protein bar. Now protein bars are very specific. You want a protein bar that's more protein than carbohydrates and low sugar, because the sugar will jack the insulin up anyway, so it doesn't do any good in terms of like added sugars. But you want to have protein throughout the day consistently. It can come from many different sources, but just know protein's not just meat. It could be fishes, it could be Greek yogurts, a lot of dairy, cheeses, quality cheeses, hard block cheeses are good too. But you want to have some variation of protein at every single meal to help level that insulin as much as possible to get long-term results. Goal is 3 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Fruits are awesome, eat them. Veggies are awesome. Just make sure cruciferous vegetables are cooked. So like a lot of people eat raw broccoli. Well, raw broccoli is full of phytotoxins. So phytotoxin is really hard for the body to break down. So literally most plants were designed to protect themselves from other animals eating them, right? So those are called phytotoxins that they release to make it so that the animals don't want to eat them because they're really hard to digest and they literally just go through and you poop it out pretty much. That's what fiber is, right? Well, fiber is good for us in certain ways. Too much fiber that's unprocessed just literally goes through and just irritates the heck out of your gut. That's why if you eat a lot of raw broccoli, you're all of a sudden like really gassy because it's not being digested at all. So cruciferous vegetables, that's the same thing with cauliflower, broccoli fit in those categories. Even a lot of beans will fit in that category. Make sure they're cooked, really cooked well. They'll digest so much easier and you won't have issues because the phytotoxins have been all broken down through the cooking. Steaming fits in that same kind of steaming. Even like stovetop, you want to really make sure that it's not just like, I'm just not like grilling them. I'm really getting it broke down on those. Otherwise, all other vegetables are awesome. That's just the one you got to be a little careful because the phytotoxins are hard for our human bodies to actually digest. All fruits are awesome. The only caveat I have to fruit is try not to eat apples after 6 p.m. And the main reason there is apples actually have an enzyme in them that helps you kind of wake you up a little bit. They're an awesome like 2 o'clock in the afternoon snack. But too late in the evening, it can actually help keep you awake a little bit. So, avoid processed foods and sugar. All the names of sugar. One of the things you'll go through is we'll send you a thing with all the different names of sugar. There's an unlimited names of sugar. You probably will never catch up to the new name they've created for sugar, or by the time you figure it out. Just look at the back of your labels and look how much stuff is inside of this thing I'm about to eat. If it has a huge list of things, it's probably not that healthy for me because there's probably 3 variations of sugar buried into those names that you've never heard of. Processed foods are usually things that have a long list, right? They come in a package, they have a long list of things. A lot of cheeses are processed. If a cheese is super flimsy, it's processed. If the cheese is really hard, you have to like slice the thing. It's a quality cheese. It's closer to a quality cheese. So that's kind of the tip on that one. Sour cream, sour cream and milks are not bad. We're not against dairy here by any means. If you're not having any issue with lactose, just make sure you get like antibiotic-free ones because a lot of animals have been filled with antibiotics and you'll get those hormones pass through you. Same thing with meats. We always lean towards grass-fed meats, but they're super expensive. But just always be conscious of the grass-fed meats slightly because you are getting hormones passed through you. And the unfortunate part about it, you have no idea they're happening. And all of a sudden, you start to get like love handles or muffin top kind of idea, and those come from like extra stored hormones that you aren't even putting in your body, they're going through your meats, right? So it's kind of crazy. Portion control, very important. Use your hand, use small plates. So a hand idea, you'll get a little bit of guide to this, but a cup like this is like a starch kind of idea. A carbohydrate is a cup. A flat hand, a palm is the size of the meat. So if you're male, you get 2 of everything I'm talking about. If you're female, you get 1 of these, just for a quick portion guide. My thumb is a serving of fat. I'm just going to change the peanut butter, right? That's like 1 scoop of peanut butter, you're done. So same thing with nuts. Like that's the idea. Guys get 2, ladies get 1. And a fruit and vegetable serving is the size of your fist, right? Those are just to give you a quick little portion control guide of what's going on there. Pretty much, you cannot overeat fruits and vegetables in this diet. Like I'm not gonna, because if you need more food, if you're hungry, eat more fruits and vegetables. Eventually, we'll catch up on our hunger cravings down the road. But I'd rather eat more fruits and vegetables in the beginning, and down the road, we can always start to portion control those if we need. But realistically, those will cover any cravings that you're probably gonna have Cheetos or something else you weren't supposed to have. Don't eat family style. Force yourself to get up and get more food. So family style is when you put the food right at the table. You put it at the kitchen counter. You guys go to the dinner table or wherever you guys eat it, fill your plate up, eat it, then you have to go back up. It's amazing when you have to go back up how you realize you never actually get back up because you're like, oh, I'm good. But if it's out there, I can see more potatoes, I'll just scoop some more potatoes on the plate, right? So it's like trying to keep that away from it and bring it out, make everybody make their place. Even good for your kids too, because you'll find out also that a lot of people, they won't go back to the foods they're not supposed to have because it's just sitting out on the table. A pro tip if you have kids is, if they eat a lot of sweets, try to help eliminate their sweets during this challenge as well. And one of the best ways to do this is going to be awesome for you as well, is cut up a ton of fruit and cut it up. Don't just like have fruit sitting on the island with just sitting there. They won't eat it. If you cut up a ton of fruit, like I'm talking about, cutting up strawberries, have some blackberries in the thing, cutting up apples ahead of time, which you usually cut them up and put them in a big bowl. Or separate bowls, however you want to do that. And like when they all are about to come home from school or something, you pull that out, put that on the counter. It'd be amazing how much fruit they'll eat throughout the night. Totally fine, good food for them. They're not going to go grab and try to reach for other things because it's pre-done. Most people love fruit and will eat the fruit when it's that way. Maybe some carrots with hummus out there, something like that. But you have those snacks readily available for them. Just snack on throughout the night. And if it won't affect their dinner that much, I promise. And if they eat too much fruit and they're worried about eating dinner, most likely they probably stopped from eating like half a gallon of potatoes, right? So realistically, it's probably not that bad a thing for them. But that's just like a little cheat tip that my sister-in-law uses that a ton for her kids because they had a lot of sugar issues and they started doing that and now they don't really eat. They just don't have to put the stuff in the house anymore. She always has to cut up fruit. And so that's kind of a tip I took from her that's really good. Me and my fiance just started doing it too because when we get hungry, we reach into cupboards. And so when we go home for the night, we just set a big bowl of fruit, pre-cut fruit up because we're lazy. We won't even peel an orange if it's not done for us. So like we get that all done ahead of time. We do our meal prep and then we'll pull that out. And we'll find ourselves snacking on that a lot more and a lot more micronutrients. So as we go through this, me and Nate and Nick and all the coaches here are going to give you as many tips as we possibly can. Please don't be afraid to use this as a resource, but no matter what, you're only seeing us, if you're training 3 days a week, you're seeing us 3 hours at most a week. There's 165 more hours in a week that we don't see you guys. So realistically, you have to do the work, right? Like, I can only give you so many tips and stuff to help you move forward, but if you don't follow those tips and actually do the stuff outside of here, it's not going to change, no matter how much it gives you. Any guy out there comes out like, you have to do the work that goes along with it. I don't think the work that we're going to require from you guys is that hard. It might be new to you guys, but it's not that hard. We're not going to make you make all the changes all at once. We're going to give you some time to make the changes a little bit. However, like as you go through, our idea is like it should be a simple change to your life. We're just going to make some modifications to the normal things you're doing, but you still have to put in the work. I'm going to go through this real quick. I put a lot of things out there, but the kitchen cleanup, this is one of the most important things. It's going to come to you guys via the app. But trying to do a kitchen cleanup, so literally going through your kitchen real quick and be like, well, what is in here that I should not be having? And it's one of those things, and this is gonna be, I don't have kids, so like you guys can bash me all you want about this, but I do have 12 nephews and nieces, so I'm pretty familiar with this in my life. But like, if you have it in the house because my kids eat it, and you can't eat it, then the kids probably shouldn't be eating it realistically, right? If you can't have it, why is it, and it's unhealthy for you, why would you want your kid to be eating it? It's that idea, because we're building those habits for them right now, right? The lifestyle that you're eating now is probably the lifestyle that you grew up with, that you were taught when you were younger. So it's the idea is like, can we build those really good habits now for them to set them up for real long-term success of understanding why, well, my mom, good example for, like me, my mom always had fruits and vegetables in the house. However, like I know some people, like my mom never made vegetables when I was younger, so I don't like vegetables. Well, no, it's not you don't like vegetables, you just never have a palate for vegetables, you never learned how to eat them. So when you guys are kind of teaching those habits to your kids now, even if they're picky, like find a few things that they'll like and keep them out more often. But that's like, this kitchen cleanup's gonna be important, because when people go through the kitchen cleanup, they do that a lot. I love that for my kid, and all of a sudden you're jumping in there after the Doritos because your kid eats them, but you're like, that willpower's completely gone for the day, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna eat these Doritos for here, but that sets you up for failure, and your kids, they'll have a little bit of a hissy fit at first, but if you have that cut up fruit and all of a sudden they're eating that a little bit, you'll start to realize, oh man, like, it's not so bad, we don't worry about it too much. Polyunsaturated fats. So polyunsaturated fats have been really mixed up in society, and it's because marketers are really good at this. Companies over the years realized it was a lot easier to make polyunsaturated fats, so these are going to be canola oils, safflower oils, vegetable oils, blah, blah. They're way cheaper for companies to make. So they did this marketing thing over the years, said, hey, polyunsaturated fats are really good for you. Not really, because our body is rampant with like free radicals, and it releases a ton of free radicals polyunsaturated fats do. So negatively, over time, those have become part of our cooking routine because companies have started to educate over the years, this is good for you. Well, it's not really. So we want to eliminate all polyunsaturated fats. So it's going to be canola oils, safflower oils, vegetable oils, pretty much all oils that aren't coconut oil, grass-fed butter, or ghee. In terms of, those are for cooking with. And then extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil are great for salads, but they're not great for cooking because when they get heated to a certain temperature, they actually turn into polyunsaturated fats. So you won't really want to cook with olive oils or avocado oils. Cooking with coconut oil, you can even use the spray coconut oil. Grass-fed butter is a really good way to cook, and same thing with ghee are really good ways to cook as well, as like on in your like frying pan stuff, because they all break down really easy. I know that's completely different than like most people. Butter, not supposed to cook butter. Butter is like a natural fat that's easily absorbed by the human body, whereas like those polyunsaturated fat, our body literally hates them. They cannot absorb them. So that's why you get these free radicals, and you get a lot of like excess like what's called omega-6 fatty acids. So you guys probably heard like eat fish oil because it has omega-3 fatty acids in it. Totally true, it is important. Only problem is you would have to like literally drink down the fish oil to outdo all the other omega-6 fatty acids in our diets that are coming from all these other oils we're putting in. So go through and clean those out. Candies and sweets, all of them, even if your kids have them, instead replace with fresh fruit, chips, crackers, and pretzels, right? So these are a tough thing for people to get rid of because a lot of people, if they're not sweet tooth, they're more of a salty kind of person. I don't have a lot of replacements for salty, but I'll give a few tips as we go along here. But anything that's really quick for you to grab out of a bag probably just needs to go because you're not going to be very good about portioning them into like a container, and they're so addicting that even if you portion them into like a bowl size, which is recommended for a lot of people, you have to go back for seconds because it's that addictive. So trying to eliminate those is going to be a really good thing. They're dangerous foods because like when shit hits the fan, meaning I'm exhausted at the end of the day, like you're just head first into it, right? It's not something you have any control over. So like you got to have it out of the house because like honestly, if you guys are like normal adults, your lives are slammed full from the second you wake up until you go to bed. And willpower is finite, right? You will run out of willpower, and usually most people are running out of willpower by lunchtime. And you still got a half of the day to go, and probably a busier half of the day to go. And so you have kids' schedules and all that stuff going on when you get out of here. So by the end of the day, you have literally nothing left to stop you from going into that thing. So you have to get those things out of there, otherwise you will at that point won't be able to do it, right? You go and like, oh crap, like I have a choice over here of some carrots, or I have a choice of like Doritos. Like most people are going to choose the Doritos because even though carrots take them out, same amount of time, Doritos feel satisfying, whereas carrots are like, oh man, that's healthy, right? Ice cream, getting rid of actual ice cream out of your freezer will be good, but you can replace it with like Greek yogurt bars, totally fine. Smaller calorie things. I love Yasso bars, only 100 calories for a full bar. I don't think the idea of like a dessert is bad, and we'll talk about that. I don't think it's a bad idea. However, ice cream itself has a lot of antibiotics in it because they're another dairy product, and so like you're trying to just get more quality. If you can get an antibiotic-free ice cream, totally fine, but just that's one thing that can be a little bit of a crunch for people. Soda, try to get rid of sodas if you can. Meal sprays would be better, like you're using water. If you have to have something that's sweet for a drink, like a meal spray, a little bit of that in water is way better than having a soda. Or if you've ever heard of Zevia, they make a soda as well, which is really good. It's uses stevia as its artificial flavor. Or LaCroix are another mineral water style thing they can have too. Those are more not really mineral water, those are really just carbonated water. Condiments, so these are really where a lot of calories go to die. Meaning like you made this amazing meal, and then I'm going to go over here and put like 4 ounces of barbecue sauce on it. And right there, I just put like 400 calories, and everything else is like perfect. That plate's small, everything. I put that condiment on there, and all of a sudden, all my calories went right to that thing right there. So trying to eliminate as many condiments out of the house as you can. Condiments that work really good are hot sauces. They have very little in them. Hot sauces work good. There's things like Walden Farms and stuff that are calorie-free. They taste pretty horrible, but if you like them, you can try them. But you just want to go through and get a lot of the ones. A lot of condiments have a lot of fat in them. We're not against that by any means, but a lot of fat in it really adds calories up real fast, because fat is worth 9 grams of calories, and those add up real quick. So just kind of get rid of as many condiments as you can that you don't use at all, or that you just know, hey, I have an addiction to that. Like for me, it's Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Like I just can't really keep it in the house because I will put it on everything I possibly can. So we just don't put it in the house. Put things in annoying places. So if there are things that you have to keep in your house for any reason, put it in a very annoying place. So like you keep wine in the house because you don't drink a lot, but like you neighbors come over and you want to, but once in a while you have a stressful day and you want to have it. So put it in a fridge in the basement instead, or put it in a fridge that's out in the garage or something like that. That's just a little bit more inconvenient for you to grab. So then you just want to make things a little bit harder for me to make those instant choices. Another thing, if you have ice cream you want for the kids, great. Put it in a freezer where you're going to have to go work to get to it. Like peanut butter, if you have it for your kids, totally fine. Let's just put it in a cupboard where you're maybe too short to reach, right? And they have to get on something to get it. Then you're not going to be instantly reaching in and it's right at eye level. That's the first thing you think about. Put it in an annoying place and really struggle to get a hold of it. Kitchen cleanup is really important. That will save you a lot of bad moments throughout this challenge, right? I would recommend doing that sometime over the next week. Just go through and hey, I'm just going to go through and get rid of everything I can. 1, you can just pitch it. 2, if you want to donate it to the neighbor and let them have bad healthy habits and then bring them into the gym after they've been eating that for a while, totally fine. But otherwise, in that terms, just making sure that you are trying to get it out of the house or put it somewhere that you just can't get a hold of it, okay? Meal planning. Every Sunday, you should have some type of meal plan. So the meal planning idea is more than just the meal prepping. It's understanding what I'm going to have throughout the week. So what am I planning on having for breakfast? So what we usually recommend people do is take a calendar. It's just literally on a piece of paper you can go, but a calendar idea, right? So you have a calendar here, and I have all my days, Monday, Tuesday, so forth, right? So then I just kind of break it into however many meals a day I'm planning on eating. Let's say we're eating 3. So for this morning, I'm going to have bacon and sweet potatoes. This one I'm going to have eggs and fruit, right? And then from here, I'm going to have an idea what I'm going to have for lunch, what I'm going to have for dinner. But you plan the whole week ahead of time. Even if it comes down to Wednesday is a crazy busy day. So I work with some one-on-one nutrition clients. And this is one of the things that has helped one of them already, is she knows it's a crazy day and they're going to eat out here. No matter what, Wednesdays have to be, they have hockey practice, all that kind of stuff. So it's instantly writing down a thing, Chipotle. She already knows, not in the hospital, right? Chipotle. So she knows that she can make good choices at Chipotle. Let's put it on the thing, let's not have to wait last minute Jimmy John's or whatever it is. I'm gonna pick a good healthy place we can eat out, it's close to wherever we're gonna be. I know I can make good choices there, we've already pre-prepped what she can have there. But now that's on the calendar, instantly they know there's that stress taken away, what are we going to eat at home and make a bad choice, it's on the calendar, we're going to eat out, right? But you can use the same breakfast every morning if that works for you, but you just got to plan out what are the things I'm going to plan on having, what am I having for lunch if I have to go into work every day, that way I know the night before, the morning of, I have to prep this meal here, make sure I have the stuff I have. It just gives you, it's just a plan, right? It's not actually prepping all the food, it's just having a small plan. This shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes. If it's taking you more than 15 minutes to create a plan, you're way overthinking it. Okay, it should be simple. Just right now, I'm going to have some fruit here, blah, blah, blah. I might say when I'm having oranges, whatever the direct fruit is. This allows you to make your grocery list. Then you make your grocery list, you go grocery shopping. And then from there, after your grocery shopping, then you start to do the meal prep, right? So every Sunday, so there's 2 different ways that we meal prep in a sense here. You can do it many different ways. This is what we've gotten recommended over time. You can do it once a week, every Sunday. This is what me and my fiance do always. We plan a week of food. This doesn't mean you have to cook it all at once, but you get it prepped. Like we get everything cut up all at the same time. We do actually do all of our prep all at once, but it helps. There's 2 of us, so we do it together. It makes it pretty quick, only about 3 hours usually, which is funny because she's doing it right now, which is great. So I might get out of it. So today since I'm here, but in terms of that, we do it all together. We prep it all together. We put it in containers. We have it ready to go. The way we do it is we put it in big containers, and then we just measure it out daily. So the night before, so she knows that she's having this. She's a teacher, she has to go to school. So the night before, she puts all of her stuff in containers.